So here it is, finally launch day has arrived. Oh my word, I'm so excited. This has been 3 years in the making, 3 years in the writing this book, and I've got so many thank yous now for people who've helped me on this journey. I never really intended to write a book or this story of my mother-in-law and her mother's escape from East Prussia at the end of the Second World War, probably until I'd retired. And it was only down to a very, very good friends. We were on holiday in Portugal with Lorraine Cliff and at Pat Clayton's holiday home. And it was Pauline Hunt who said to me, I am sick of hearing you talk about writing this book. Here, have this and start writing. And we were on our way home that day. And by the time we got off the plane, it was full. And that was the beginning of the book. And that was over 3 years ago now. So honestly, Pete, big thank you to you, because I honestly believe that this book wouldn't have started without you. So I've just had a delivery and it looks as though the books might be here. Here they are. Right, on cue, launch day, all the books have arrived, and I just want to say thank you so much to Ben Dickinson from Athena Media for putting the website together, www.muttisdream.com, because loads of people have ordered through there, and fantastic because I can now post them out to you. Thank you, and thank you to Ben. And I want to thank Adrian Mitchell from Merlin Design Studios. I gave him a mock-up and he came up with this amazing family tree, all nicely aged looking, and it looks fabulous. So what a superstar. Thank you so much, Adrian. Also to my son, Adam, he probably may not see this because he's in China, but he designed the cover of this book and it was so much better than what the publisher came up with. So well done, and thank you to Adam. To the wonderful rock stars that are Perrin Reed and Lincoln Roth for the fabulous launch photos. You guys are just absolutely incredible at what you do, and thank you so much for those author photographs. Also to Auntie Jean Robinson, who painstakingly edited the book. She's a published author herself. She knew what she was doing. Thank goodness for your input. And also to my cousin Liz for ferrying the manuscript between Dan's house and your house, etc. To the undying love and support of my very, very good friends, in particular Lynn Robinson and Pat Clayton, both authors themselves, and they had so much advice to offer. What would I do without you? And all the sharing that you've been doing in the last few days as well, Lynn. I'm so very grateful. Also to Astrid Pohl, who read lots of the German papers for us and helped make sure that we understood what was written in all these family documentations that we needed to go through. Significantly to my hubby Dennis, he went on ancestry.com and did a DNA sample which brought he and his third cousin Raymond together. He lives in Vancouver. And we weren't certain of the link to begin with, and it was only when Raymond started to talk about his great-grandparents, Helena and Julius. And I was saying, well, those are Dennis's great-grandparents, Helena and Julius. Where's the link? We finally discovered that Mutti had a brother. And oh my goodness, that changed the whole dynamics of the story and what happened within the book. So that caused a rewrite, but thank goodness we found you, Raymond, in Canada, and can't wait to get over there, meet all the family and share so many experiences together. This story is one that Inge, my mother-in-law, talked about repeatedly, especially as she got older, and what happened to the thousands of refugees that perished on the Wilhelm Gustloff. They deserve the world's acknowledgement. I just want to thank all of you for your support, for spending your hard-earned cash buying the book. I hope that you're not going to be bored to tears. There are lots of twists and turns along the way in the story, as you'll learn that Anita led a privileged lifestyle in Eastern Prussia. She was a granddaughter of a countess, and she was musically gifted, but falling pregnant at just age 19 gave her family the heck of a shock, and that child was my mother-in-law. And so what happened to them after that will never be forgotten by us, and I did promise her I would not let her story die with her. So I'm going to read a short extract now, and hope that you appreciate a little bit about the story. This story now is as they're starting to make their escape. They've reached their holiday hotel up on the coast on the Baltic, and they're fearing the worst. The weather's closing in. It's one of the coldest winters in decades, and the Russians are making their advance. It was getting late at the end of the day, and still there was no news from Helena, Greta and Lotta. Had they caught the train? Everyone in the hotel could hear the Stalinorgel. That was what they called the Russian missiles as they landed close by. Anita was determined that she would go to the little railway station near the hotel, as they could hear the trains, even though they doubted that they were stopping. Inge went with her. Anita needed to know from anyone leaving if the news was good or bad. Were the Russians still advancing towards Königsberg? That's the capital city. They were terrified in the dark. Every tree appeared to resemble a man lurking in the woods. The snow squeaked beneath their feet and caused a deep echo, sounding like people were walking behind them. They stood for what felt like an eternity for the next train. Their faces prickled from the cold, and at last a train arrived but did not stop. The train travelled slowly from Krantz, as it was only a little steam train. But it was packed, and the people were stood on the steps of the train, and some were hanging on the outside of the train like bats. People shouted from the train, "Get away! The Russians are only half an hour from here." Anita shouted back, "Where are the trains from Königsberg?" Someone shouted in reply, but the train was passing now, and she just made out the response. "They stopped this morning, no more," and the voice trailed off. Anita and Inge were alarmed and distraught in equal measure to learn that there were no trains from Königsberg since the early morning, plus the Russians were advancing. Inge turned to her mother and said, "Mutti, what are we going to do now?" Anita replied, "I just don't know." With a heavy heart and her mind working overtime, trying to fathom what had happened to the rest of her family, Anita took Inge's hand. They walked back to the Blaumow through the woods. The snow now began to fall straight and steady from a sky without wind. It was falling like soft feathered crystals, becoming one with the thickening darkness, descending on the ground layer by layer. Both Anita and Inge clung to each other, and Inge could feel her mother's tension. For the first time in her life, Inge recognised the need to acknowledge her mother's fallibility. And for what happens next, you need to read the book. So again, with that, just want to say thank you for the shares, for the support from the bottom of my heart. I want to let the world know about this story. I will be broadcasting live on BBC Radio Leeds at 12:40 this lunchtime. Please tune in if you get the opportunity to. And in the meantime, really would appreciate you sharing the bejesus out of this video so that we can let the world know what happened to over 8,000 refugees who perished on the Wilhelm Gustloff on the 30th of January 1945. This book is written in their memory. Thank you.